Not sure how many people are going to see this. Also, not sure how the angle is going to be. Um, but I more or less just want to talk about an important subject that I made a LinkedIn post about it, and then at the same time now I'm on YouTube. So I had a very brief heart to heart with my operations officer, the CEO of my employer today, and I had an honest, open, candid conversation with him. And then I made the LinkedIn post a couple of hours later, and now I'm home after a 12-hour shift, and the CEO of the company, um, greetings, hello. The CEO of the company um, ended up DMing me over the LinkedIn post. So the LinkedIn post was more or less about attitude and making things way more than they really are. So that's more or less just what I want to talk about in front of however many people I get, because I'm cleaning out my desk at home, and I just figured to hell with it. As I'm cleaning, I'm just going to sit here and talk. So we're talking about making things out more than they really are. Rather that be in private security, rather that be in some other career field, but I'm going to talk about attitude and mindset. And I'm going to give context to what I'm talking about. So, I had a screw up last week to where I wasn't meeting the security client standards. Because I wasn't meeting the client standards, that caused them to ask me to be removed from post. Now, on the same token, I ended up, I basically was in the heat for, however many hours, upwards of 4 to 10 hours in the heat with my eczema in triple degree weather. So my eczema was flaring up, I was getting inflamed, this and that. It was not a good time for my eczema. So with my medical issue, I had to raise my hand and say, hey, I physically cannot work this security site anymore. I want this to be my last day. Well, lo and behold, a couple hours after I text the ops officer comes to post and says, well, this works out with you wanting to leave here because they actually just asked you to go. So I'm like, oh, okay, so the feeling's mutual, great. So I had that blunder being getting removed from post. And then, last week, I'm working a low visibility detail in Plainclothes, and way at the end of the detail, after I've left the detail, I tell the client, the security agency that subcontracted the work to my local group, I tell them I'm new to EP. Well, I'm not new. I'm not new to executive protection. I caught myself immediately and said, no. This is my first civilian detail. I did federal work before. But that caused my boss to freak out and this and that. Okay, so now with that context in mind, we flash forward to Saturday morning when after I get off from a transit officer shift, my schedule is updated without my knowledge, and I'm pulled off an executive protection detail. Thanks, Phoenix. I get pulled off a executive protection detail, and so I go, what the fuck? And I assume the worst. It's because of the post. It's because of getting removed from post. And it's because I basically got yelled at through text. No. Quite the contrary. The client of this conference, this event, wants the same people there for the full duration of the event. So my getting removed from the schedule for this detail has nothing to do with, what I thought was going on. But this is where attitude and mindset come into play. I went 0 to 60 and I assumed the worst. This is where sometimes we have to take a step back, we have to breathe, and we more or less have to get out of our own way. You had to make some calls to local PD over the weekend. The last time I had to call local PD, it was 4 weeks ago when I handcuffed somebody in front of the Bellagio on the Las Vegas Strip. And it wasn't even me making the phone call, it was the manager on duty. Because it was a use of force, and I went the whole 9 yards. We got the guy in handcuffs after he punched my supervisor. And yeah, so, as we're sitting there slamming the guy into the ground, getting handcuffs on him, MOD made the call. But anyways, yeah, so attitude and mindset. I made something out way more than it really was. So, all of this to say, take a step back, look at your situation, and breathe. That's something that my ultimate boss, as I jokingly call him, the CEO of the company, that's something the CEO keeps telling me, and I keep telling myself I need to heed it, and I really don't heed it. It's, you need to stop, pause, and breathe. I really need to heed those 3 words. And then, through these blunders, as I've been calling them, an acronym comes to mind from my time in the U.S. Air Force Auxiliary when I was growing up as a teen on Nellis Air Force Base, learning about leadership and whatnot. A failure is not a negative. A failure is your first attempt in learning. Again, it all comes down to attitude and mindset. I have this very bad habit of going 0 to 60, thinking the worst, and then thinking about damage control and this and that. And that's what I've been doing lately. And it's actually been hurting me more than it's been helping me. Because by me thinking I have to sit here and play damage control, I'm really doing things that are more or less further digging my hole. I'm going further downhill because I'm sitting here thinking I have to play damage control, when really it's your mindset. It's your attitude. Fucking pull yourself out of the hole, and you'll be fine. So, yeah, attitude and mindset, no matter what job field you're in, I think it's just something good to keep in mind. And you know what, I'll even throw my LinkedIn post at the end of this, because this is really all I got. But yeah, I just wanted to come on a live real fast, talk about that, and yeah, it's really all I got. Very short live, and I know I don't go live much to begin with, but yeah, it's really all I had. Just wanted to get that out there, and it's okay to not be okay, but at the same time, I would say it's not okay to be so in your way, or excuse me, it's not okay to be so not okay that you end up in your own way. Because if we end up in our own way, it's exactly like I'm saying. By you thinking you're going to have to sit here and play damage control to pull yourself out, you're actually furthering yourself downhill. So it's all in your attitude, it's all in your head, it's all in your mindset. More or less, it's all in the choices you make. So yeah, that's really all I have for you guys. We're having connection issues. So yeah, ending it here. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's just all in your mindset. But yeah, without further ado, this is Mike here, Professional Security Journal. Y'all stay safe, and this is it. Take it easy, friends.